Yo, what's going on, guys? In today's video I want to talk about what has been my favorite strategy to do in the past 3 leagues. And this league I did try a lot of strategies, but most of them have been just average. I didn't get really good results out of them. Don't get me wrong, they were still decent, but I did expect more out of them. And this strategy just never disappointed me, always has been a pretty good profit. And I did try it out this time, and let me tell you, it was not a disappointment. And one thing that should tell you that I really like the strategy is the fact that most of my strategies I have been doing just 50, maybe 100 maps as a sample to do the test, and this time around I actually did 600 maps, so I really like doing this one. And one last thing before I move on to explaining the strategy is I wanna say this one you actually can do with pretty much any build and with any gear, I should say, because you actually can do it even in a white maps. In fact, last league I did a 0 to 100 exalts challenge, and in that challenge I did make most of my money with this strategy, and I have been doing this in white maps. Okay, so let's start talking about the strategy. So the strategy is basically farming gilded scarabs, and the main thing you need to do it is just this sextant. First 3 possessed monsters drop an additional gilded scarabs. So basically every single map is gonna give you 3 scarabs, and this sextant has 4 uses, which basically means in 4 maps you're gonna get 12 scarabs. So 12 scarabs out of this sextant. And it costs right now around 20 chaos. I actually was able to buy them even for cheaper than that, but most of the time you're gonna have to buy them for 20C, especially if you're gonna be buying them on TFT. And with this strategy you have to remember that maybe adding some additional stuff, like maybe farming essences, maybe farming heist and so on, is gonna be a good idea, since we're gonna be just speedrunning maps, just entering a map, getting 3 scarabs. Maybe you can add some additional small things here and there. But the issue is that in this case, less is more. Basically, just being able to do more maps per hour, in my experience, just have been better than just adding some additional stuff. Especially since now contracts and blueprints are pretty cheap, and also essences are also pretty cheap. So the way you're gonna have 3 possessed monsters in a map to be able to get these gilded scarabs is thanks to this Atlas passive sounds. Up to 5 rare monsters in each map are possessed, but you have to remember it says up to 5 rare monsters, and from what I testing I found out that it basically depends on how many rare monsters are there in the map. If the map has a lot of monsters, basically it has higher chances that you're gonna get more rare monsters. And my 2 favorite maps to do this strategy in have been Ashen Woods and Mesa. Mesa sometimes will still give you only 2 possessed monsters, but in Ashen Woods I pretty much always have 3 possessed monsters. So Mesa is not as great as this one, but I would say 90-95% of the time you're still gonna get at least 3 possessed monsters. But to help you with that, with the amount of possessed monsters, what I'm also going for is the Exiled Will, which gives you that the rogue exiles in your maps are also possessed by Tormented Spirit, and combining it with Royal Guard, you're gonna get 20% of the time 2 additional rogue exiles, which are gonna be possessed. You can also go for Rokos, which is gonna 8% of the time give you 20 exiles, which basically means you immediately, once you enter a map, you're gonna find multiple exiles, you're gonna kill them, and you can pretty much just leave. So yeah, basically this serves as a like a safety in case you don't find 3 monsters. From time to time you're gonna find the exiles, and on top of that it just helps you with the speed. So if you find a boss and this procs, you immediately just find 2 possessed monsters, so you don't have to search through the map to find additional ones. You still need to find just 1 more. Another thing that's gonna help you with the amount of rare monsters is essences. So like I said, essences are not that great in terms of profit, but I like to add them simply because it just helps you with the amount of possessed monsters. Because not only most of the time when you're gonna get this one free essence, this one essence is gonna be most of the time possessed, but on top of that, when you get this proc, so when the essence is shrieking, it's gonna get duplicated. So if a monster is possessed, when you're gonna release it, it's gonna be duplicated, so you're gonna get 2 possessed monsters, which is kind of the same thing as with exiles. It's just gonna help you with being able to do maps faster. You just are not gonna have to search for as many possessed monsters in the map. So after this, everything else is whatever. If you're gonna do this in white maps, these are pretty much the only things that you need: Seance and Essences and Rogue Exiles, just to have the most amount of scarabs in the map as possible. But if you're gonna do this in red maps, so tier 14 plus, you can also go for Influence, the Searing Exarch one. You can also go for this one, but it doesn't really matter. I decided to go for this one, and also at the beginning of the map you're gonna get the additional altar, which can give you some stuff to drop from the map boss. And also maybe some monsters that you're gonna kill on your way. So yeah, I decided to go for the red Influence, and because of that I'm also killing a map boss. So like I said earlier, you don't want to add too many things in your map, but most of the time when you are searching for these 3 possessed monsters, on my way I would find a map boss anyway, especially if I'm doing Ashen Woods or Mesa. Map boss is very easy to find in these maps, so I would kill a map boss. And because of that I also went for the additional Guardian map drops, so Shaper Elder and Conqueror maps, and all of the duplication points, so that these maps sometimes are duplicated. And also you have to remember to proc the Influence. You don't need to kill a map boss, you just need to kill few monsters, and when Influence procs, you're gonna get the Influence proc. You only have to kill a map boss when you actually have the last proc, so 28th map, then you need to kill a map boss to get the invitation. But I am still killing a map boss just to get the Guardian maps. But if I get the proc, for example, of this, and I get 3 exiles just literally at the beginning of the map, I kill them, and that one I'll just leave the map. I would not waste my time trying to search for a boss. This is just my number 1 priority, getting the possessed monsters. Number 2 priority would be to kill a map boss. Number 3 priority would be to go for the essence, but again, if I would already find 3 scarab monsters and kill a map boss, I would not go out of my way to search for the 1 guaranteed essence. I would just do it if I find it on my way. And the last thing is going for the heist. So if I just find on my way to possess monsters and the map boss smuggler cache, I would just click it. It's basically free easy money, and I just had a lot of spare points, so I went for all of the heist nodes here, here, and here, and I blocked everything else other than heist and actually delirium, because delirium is also very simple. You just run through the mirror, and whatever you get, you get. I wouldn't really get that many rewards from the deliriums, but from time to time I would just get random delirium orbs. I also went for 25% less life on monsters and Stream of Consciousness to get better chance for the contracts and for the Mirror of Delirium. And yeah, that's basically it in terms of the tree. If there is anything that I would change on this tree is maybe adding the synthesis maps. If you, for example, don't want to go for heist, or maybe you don't want to go for blocks or something, you can go for synthesis maps. You could also go for these additional 2 points for duplicated maps. It doesn't really do that much. This is why I decided to remove them, because I didn't have any points left, so I just had to remove something. And yeah, I think these are basically the only changes I would ever make to the strategy. In the past, I would go for Harvest, but Harvest nowadays without quantity on the maps, and these maps are gonna be running white, it's not that great anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, this is basically the strategy. Now I'm gonna show it on an example. And what you can do is you can actually use 4 of these, the same sextants, on 4 different void stone. And this is basically gonna act as a queue. So you can take out 16 maps And first use is gonna use this sextant, then this one, and then it's gonna go back to this one and until all of them are used. So this basically lets you not use the sextant every 4 maps. Instead, you can use them every 16. And in terms of maps, again, I was going for Ashen Woods and Mesa, and not only because they are very small maps, you can very easily find the map boss and the scarabs, but on top of that, they are tier 14s, and it's very easy to horizon into them. So I have Plaza in here, 1, 2, 3, and I already got Ashen Woods. Next one, Mesa. Next one, another Mesa, another Mesa. It's very easy to horizon into them. So the way I was doing it, I was buying a ton of maps on TFT or on trade, and I was buying them for free chaos, and then I would just horizon all of them into Mesa or Ashenwood, and then if they were rare, I would scour them to make them white.
I cannot do this yet.
Okay, so let's go. So I can show you an example. So here is the Ashenwoods. And also my build is very fast and has very good single target, so it also helps with this strategy. So again, you want to search for these monsters, so possessed ones. Here is the first one. I got the first scarab. Here is the second one, second scarab. I would click on whatever things. Let's go for the divination cards. Also, I would still do the tablet, because I'm not gonna lie, there is nothing really new in this league to do, and tablets, even though they don't give that great of a profit, I still just like to go for them. So in this case, I'll just choose this. And as you can see, it also doesn't take that much time. I'm already done. It was, what, like 5 seconds? And here, this essence doesn't have anything that great, and I already can see that there are some exiles next to a map boss. So I'm just gonna go and kill map boss with the exiles. And that's it. Oh, and I already had 3 scarabs. I didn't even notice that. So now I would leave. So we got 3 scarabs and we got the map boss skill. So now I'm gonna try to do next map as fast as possible without too much talking and explaining. So you can see how fast you can do these maps. Here's the first essence, and unfortunately it's not possessed. Let's look for the next one. Here it is, and it's shrieking. Unfortunately it's also not possessed, so unlucky this time. And I got the map boss, I believe. Yes, let me do the tablet. 1, 2. It took like 5 seconds. Let me search for the possessed monsters. And I can't find anything in here. That's pretty unlucky. Most of the time you already would have all of them. Here's the first one, second one, and I need one more. Oh, I know why. Because this map spawned Alva. And when you spawn Alva, very often the possessed monsters are gonna be inside of the incursion, which is actually pretty unlucky. So this is very rare occurrence. Most of the time you wouldn't have this. So you can see here, there it is, possessed monster. So I have to kill him, and I'm just gonna leave.
Good job.
Here is the last scarab. And let me do last map, so I can show you how Mesa looks like. So in Mesa it's much easier to find the map boss, but it's harder to find the possessed monsters, at least most of the time. Oh, and then I got the Delirium, so I will just go through it. Here is a map boss. Oh, and it spawned the 2 exiles next to it, which means I only have to search for one. Last one. Possessed monster. So I got 2. And maybe this one's gonna be third one. Oh, I don't have a ram. Oh, I actually have one. Let me use it.
I cannot do this.
And it is possessed, and it was also duplicated. And now I would also remove Delirium because the map is done. So I found all of the scarabs, and I killed the map boss. I am only missing the tablet, but again, I wouldn't super focus on it. If I found it on my way, I would still do it. So 3 scarabs from the first map, 3 scarabs from second one, and 3 scarabs from the third one. So now let me show you the profit from all of the maps that I did. So here is, again, so I did 600 maps. So here is the loot from all of the 600 maps. So this is just random loot. Most of the random currency, fossils, cards, stack decks, and so on that I got from these random monsters. I got 3 simulacrums from all of the delirium encounters, and as you can see, quite a lot of delirium orbs. So, like I said, it doesn't really take too much time to just go through the mirror and just kill the monsters. When you are killing the possessed monsters, you're just gonna get some additional delirium rewards. So that's what I did. And some additional Eldritch currency. When you're gonna click on the altars, you're gonna get some extra currency from them. And yeah, that's basically it here. The second tab. This is basically a tab with most of the stuff that I did not include as a rewards in the spreadsheet. So I did not include all of the unique items, and I did not include all of the memories that I got, because to be honest, I actually got pretty lucky. As you can see, I got only 2 Kirak, 1 Alva, 1 Nico, and the most expensive memories right now are Einhars and Essences Einhars and Sacred Grove Einhars, and I got 2 of these and 3 of these. And I believe Sacred Groves goes for 1.7 divines, and these, I don't even know, I think it's around 50 chaos, so they are pretty expensive. So I did not include them in the results, I did not all of the uniques, and I did not include all of these tablets. I only included these ones, because these ones have, this one for example has Calandra. You can see reflection difficulty 10, a reflection of Calandra. And in case you don't know, difficulty 10, Calandra, goes for 1.7 divines. If, for example, I would get at any point, let's say Calandra difficulty 14, that's 3.5 divines. And if you get difficulty 16, which is super rare, right now it goes for 16 divines. So there's a little bit of money you can make if you get lucky. And the other tablets are reflections of paradise, and I sorted them by difficulty. So here's difficulty 5, 6, here is difficulty 9, 12, 14, and I got 1 reflection of paradise with difficulty 16. And just to show you, paradise difficulty 16 goes for 2.2 divines right now, and even smaller ones like difficulty 10 still goes for like 85, 90 C. So there is a little bit of money to be made from the tablets. And even, for example, I did get here reflection of power difficulty 16. This one still would go for like 100 chaos. Even if you're gonna get, let's say, tyranny with difficulty 12, that's 20 C. So a lot of these are actually like difficulty 12, 13, 14, 15 with just normal rooms. So a lot of them I could actually still sell for like 20 to 100 chaos, but still I decided to not include them in the test results. So if you are not gonna do them, you actually are gonna make even more money per hour, because I still did have to spend some additional time to assemble these tablets. And next tab is all of the loot that I got from the map boss. So basically to see if it's actually worth it to also go for the map boss, not just the scarabs. And this is basically all of the loot that you would not get if you would be doing these maps in the white maps. But you have to remember you would be doing them faster, which basically means instead of getting this, you would get more scarabs per hour. So you can see here all of the Shaper Guardian maps, Elder, Conqueror. I believe I got 24 incontested invitations and decent amount of Maven invitations, which go for like 45C and 45C. And the last tab is basically heist and maps. So you can see pretty good amount of maps, but I remember I did 600 maps, so it is expected to drop decent amount of them. And in terms of heist, I only did count in a spreadsheet the expensive contracts, so the deception, perception, counter, and lock picking. So these 4 columns. All of the other ones like demolition, trap, and so on, I did not count as profit. And I also did count all of the blueprints. And you can see here I got a little bit more than 200,000 rogue markers, which is also a decent amount of money. And here you can see all of the essences. I did clear my essence tab before doing the test, so these are all of the essences I got, and I did upgrade all of them to deafening except for the dread, because I believe dread is worth it to sell as a shrinking one. And the last tab, which is the most important one, is the tab with the scarabs. So here you can see I got a little bit more than 100 of every single gilded scarab. And the most expensive ones right now, I believe, are Expedition, Divination, Abyss, and Reliquary. And I got quite a lot of them. The only one that I got a little bit less than 100 is Blight, which is also a pretty good one, but yeah, unfortunately, not always you're gonna get the equal amount of every single one. And the one that I got the most of is Breach. Okay, so now let's move to the actual results in the spreadsheet. So here is the spreadsheet, so you can see all of the spendings. It took me actually a little bit more than 14 hours to do 600 maps. So this was a pretty long test. 600 maps. I did count them as 4C because I still had to horizon them. I was buying them for 3 chaos and I was horizon orbing them and then also scouring some of them. So a little bit of additional spending. So I did count them as 4 chaos. Sextants, 600 maps required 150 sextants. So 3000 chaos because I was buying them for 20C. And I also did use some remnants. Here you can see all of the pricings that I went for in terms of the lakes. So here you can see all of the Paradise and Calandra rooms. Here you can see pricing for all of the contracts and blueprints. Here pricing for all of the Guardian maps. In terms of Guardian maps, I actually, for example, Elder, if you're selling them in bulk as a sets, you can sell them for like 22C per one. If you're selling them on trade, you are selling them for like 15C. So I didn't really know which pricing to go for, so I just went for the middle one, so 18C. So not a bulk, but also not the selling them one by one. The only one that I went for in bulk is the Shaper, because you actually, Shaper maps, you can just horizon orb into sets very easily yourself, so it's very easy to sell them as a sets. So as a set, you're gonna sell them at 17.5C per one, which basically is 70C per set. And here you can see pricing for the invitations. And here is the most important one, which is the scarabs. So in terms of scarabs, you have to remember you always have to price check them in bulk. So this is what I did. I basically went to the train. I searched for scarab. First one is breach, at least 20, and I searched. And you can see here that they go for 5C per. So I would just write down 5. Then I did the same thing with cartography, and so on and so on. Here you can see they go for actually 5. So I didn't want to go for too much. For example, for cartography, I did put down 4.5, and I did this with a lot of them. So actually, I probably made even more if I would be able to sell all of them in bulk on trade. These are prices when you sell them in bulk on trade, not on TFT. Because on TFT, when you sell them in bulk, you're probably going to make even less than that. Here are all of the quantities and price total. And here you can see average scarab price. So with these prices, how much on average every single scarab is worth. So in total, I did make 12,000 chaos just from the scarabs. And the investment you can see was 5,000. So easily just with scarabs, I doubled my money. So when you look at all of the stuff together, scarabs was 12,000 chaos, essence is 2,000, which, like I said earlier, is not that much of a profit. Garden maps and invitations was actually pretty good amounts of 5,000. So I would say if you are doing this in red maps, definitely kill a map, because in my opinion, it is actually worth to do it. But again, you can still just do it in white maps. You're gonna get basically more scarabs per hour. And eventually, once you have a good gear, then you can move on to red ones. Maps, so just normal red maps, 1000 chaos, heist 1000C, lakes 1.5k, but again, this is only these good lakes. I'm not including the worse ones. And here is the random loot, so all of the delirium orbs, currency, every currency, and so on. So all of these things did not give me that much profit, but all of them together is actually a decent amount. And again, most of the profit came from the scarabs. So in total, I made 116 divines in 14 hours, which basically is a little bit more than 8 divines per hour, which definitely with current economy, how much money we can make with a lot of other strategies, this is a very good amount in my opinion, especially since this is a very low maintenance strategy. Most of the stuff you're gonna be selling is only scarabs, so it's very easy in terms of trading. It's very easy to do. Like I said, you don't really need that great of a build. You only need a decent single target and high movement speed. But obviously, if you're gonna do it on a worse build, you can still probably make like 5-6 divines per hour if your build is a bit slower. And like I said earlier, you can do it even in white maps. Essences and normal rare monsters still gonna give you scarabs in every single map. One last thing I want to talk about is very often people ask me after I make a video about the strategy is it still worth it to do the strategy if sextant price goes from, right now it goes for 20C, and let's say it's now 30C or 40C. Is it still worth to do it? So my answer to you is just calculate it yourself. Just go to the trade, again, check every single scarab price in bulk, add them all together and divide it by 16, because there is 16 scarabs, which is basically what I did in here. And you can see that average scarab price right now with current economy is 6.75 chaos. And if you look at the sextant, it has 4 uses and it always gives you 3 scarabs. It basically means each sextant gives you 12 scarabs. So basically what you do is you type the 6.75 times 12, and this is basically value of the sextant. So as long as the sextant is not worth 80C, you are still making profit. Obviously, if you would be buying sextant for like 70C, 60C, you would be making barely any profit on average, but it still would be worth it. Me personally, I would probably not do it I would do it for at least 40C profit. So in this current economy, I would buy sextants even for like 40 chaos. But obviously what usually happens, sextants goes up to price up to like 40C, let's say, but then prices of scarabs also go up. So eventually maybe average value of this sextant is like 100C, maybe 120C. So then you're gonna again make 80C per sextant. So again, every time you're gonna be doing this strategy, remember to just check what is the average price of the scarab and compare it to the price of the sextant, and you're just gonna know it yourself, is it worth it or not. And also one more thing that I forgot about to mention is what you also can do with these scarabs. If you can't sell them, let's say the shaper, and shaper right now is worth, let me check in here, 4 chaos in bulk. So what you can do with them is you can go to Horti crafting station, and there is actually a craft. Let me type scarab. You can change stack of scarabs into different type of the same rarity, which basically means if you change a gilded one, it's gonna change it to a different gilded one. And I believe right now the life force, 30 life force goes for around 1 chaos. Let me double check it. If you check for the bulk prices, so at least 10,000, yes, they go for around 30C is around 1 chaos, even cheaper. So basically price of this scarab is 4C. You add 30 life force, which is another 1C. So basically you are paying 5C to get a different scarab. And again, like I said earlier, average price right now is 6.75, which basically means it is worth to do it right now with cheap scarabs. So let me give it a try, and for 10 you're gonna pay 300. Let me change it, and I got Reliquar. And as you can see, Reliquar right now is worth 8.5. So I made 4 plus 1C, so 3.5C I made per every single scarab. So I made 35C just from this one click. And you can do it more with a lot of other cheap ones. So let me do it a few times in here. another one, Elder. So this time I didn't make any money because Elder is 5C. So I basically just got my money back. Another one, Ambush. Ambush is 14.5. So this time I actually made like 90 chaos. So this is a very good recipe to also go for. And there is one other thing that you can do, which is going for 1 horizon and 2 scarabs, and you can use this vendor recipe to basically change 2 scarabs into 1 random one. I actually don't know which one I got because it got... Oh, I think I got the Reliquary one. Maybe some other one? I don't know. But yeah, this is also another thing that you can do, but it is more expensive, so I don't recommend going for this one right now. In the past, that's what I actually was doing. I was going for horizon orbing them, but now with the changes to harvest, going for this recipe is actually better. So if you ask me, just to sum up the strategy, I say it is a very nice one. It is very easy. A lot of people can just do it with any build and in any maps. I'm personally gonna probably do it for a very long time. And yeah,
I cannot do
that's
this
gonna
yet.
be it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.